devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānāṁ vardhayan kāma-devam. Please repeat. Jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Mataji's. Can I get some water? Devakī-janma-vādo yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyann adharmam sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena vraja-pura-vanitānām vardhayan kāma-devam. Jayati eternally lives. Jana-nivāsaḥ, he who lives among the human beings, like the members of the Yadu dynasty, and is the ultimate resort of all living entities. There's a purport in the word for word here, so I'll read the parenthetical material. Devakī-janma-vāda, known as the son of Devakī. You don't have to repeat this one. No one can actually become the father and mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, devakī-janma-vāda means that he is known as the son of Devakī. Similarly, he is also known as the mother of Yaśodā, Vasudeva and Nanda Mahārāja. Yadu-vara-pariṣat, served by the members of the Yadu dynasty, or the cowherd men of Vṛndāvana. all of whom were constant associates of the Supreme Lord and are the Lord's eternal servants. Dorbhiḥ, by his own arms, or by his devotees like Arjuna, who are just like his own arms. Asyan, killing. Adharmam, demons or the impious. Sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ, the destroyer of all the ill fortune of all living entities, moving and non-moving. Su-smita, always smiling. Śrī-mukhena, by his beautiful face. Vraja-pura-vanitānāṁ, of the damsels of Vṛndāvana. Vardhayan, increasing. Kāma-devam, the lusty desires. Translation and purport by both Srila Prabhupada and also the followers of Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Krishna is he who is known as jana-nivāsaḥ, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as devakī-nandana, or Yaśodā, the son of Devakī and Yaśodā. He's the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms, he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence, he destroys all things inauspicious for the living entities, moving and inert. His blissful, smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vṛndāvana. May he be glorious and happy. Purport. The translation and word meanings for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 1379. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Srila Shukadeva Goswami has composed this beautiful verse to console those who lament the fact that Lord Krishna did not continue to manifest his intimate pastimes down to the present time. Here, Sri Shukadeva reminds his listeners that the Lord is eternally present in this world, in his abode and his name and the recitation of his glories. The idea is expressed by the word jayati, he is victorious, which is in the present tense rather than the past. Srila Prabhupada explains this verse as follows in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Shukadeva Goswami thus concludes his description of the super exalted position of Lord Krishna by glorifying him in the following way. O Lord Krishna, all glories unto you. You are present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Therefore, you are known as jana-nivāsaḥ, one who lives in everyone's heart. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara sarva-bhūtānāṁ hrideshe Arjuna tishtati. The Supreme Lord is in his Paramatma feature lives in everyone's heart. This does not mean, however, that Krishna has no separate existence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosophers accept the all-pervading feature of the Parabrahman, but when Parabrahman, or the Supreme Lord, appears, they think that he appears under the control of material nature. Because Lord Krishna appeared as the son of Devakī, the Mayavadi philosophers accept Krishna to be an ordinary living entity who takes birth within this material world. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami warns them, devakī-janma-vādaḥ, which means that although Krishna is famous as the son of Devakī, actually, he's the supersoul, or the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees, however, take this word devakī-janma-vādaḥ in a different way. The devotees understand that actually Krishna was the son of Mother Yaśodā. Although Krishna first of all appeared as the son of Devakī, he immediately transferred himself to the lap of Mother Yaśodā, and his childhood pastimes were blissfully enjoyed by Mother Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja. This fact was also admitted by Vasudeva himself, and when he met Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā at Kurukshetra, he admitted that Krishna and Balaram were actually the sons of Mother Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja. Vasudeva and Devakī were only their official father and mother. Shukadeva Goswami then glorifies the Lord as one who is honored by the yadu-vara-pariṣat, the assembly house of the Yadu dynasty, and as the killer of different kinds of demons. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could have killed all the demons by employing his different material energies, but he wanted to kill them personally in order to give them salvation. There is no need of Krishna's coming to this material world to kill the demons. Simply by his willing, many hundreds and thousands of demons could have been killed without his personal endeavor. But actually, he descended for his pure devotees, to play as a child with Mother Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja, and to give pleasure to the inhabitants of Dwarka. By killing the demons and by giving protection to the devotees, Lord Krishna established the religious principle, which is simply love of God. By following the factual religious principles of love of God, even the living entities known as sthira-cara were also delivered from the material contamination and were transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Sthira means the trees and plants, which cannot move, and chara means the moving animals, specifically the cows. When Krishna was present, he delivered all the trees, monkeys, and other plants and animals who happened to see him and serve him both in Vṛndāvana and Dvaraka. Lord Krishna is especially glorified for his giving pleasure to the gopis and the queens of Dvaraka. Shukadeva Goswami glorifies Lord Krishna for his enchanting smile, by which he enchanted not only the gopis of Vṛndāvana, but also the queens at Dvaraka. The exact words used in this connection are vardhayan kāma-devam. In Vṛndāvana, as the boyfriend of many gopis, and in Dvaraka, as the husband of many queens, Krishna increased their lusty desires to enjoy with him. For God realization or self-realization, one generally has to undergo severe austerities and penances for many, many thousands of years, and then it may be possible to realize God. But the gopis and queens in Dvaraka, simply by enhancing their lusty desires to enjoy Krishna as boyfriend or husband, receive the highest type of salvation. In this way, Srila Prabhupada wonderfully illuminates the meaning of this verse, which by Shukadeva Goswami, which summarizes Lord Krishna's pastimes. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur Udmilitamya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rubhakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguru Shigurun Vandeham Shigurun what is that? Shigurun Vaishnavamshta Shirupam Sagarjatam Sagara Raganatam Vitam Tam Jijivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakana Lalita Shivishakan Vitamshta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinam Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vṛndāvaneshwari Vrishabhanusade Devi Pranamam Hire Priye Vanshakapatulyascha Kripasundu Bhyavacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Putuleshmati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Putuleshmati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shkunyavali Pashkati Tishatarne Buter Mahadbir Himafpur Vibor Nirmaya Shiti Yad Amushipurasha Bhungti Ganan Shudasha Shudashatmaka Soda Krishishta Bhagavan Vachamsime. The Supreme Lord enters in, he creates this material manifestation of dead elements, and he brings it to life by entering into it with himself. Similarly, too, he entered into Devaki's womb and made it an effulgent by his entrance. So also I pray that Krishna will enter into my words and decorate them, and I can speak something nice. So, the verse again, jayati jana-nivāso devakī-janma-vādo, yadu-vara-pariṣat svair dorbhir asyan adharmam, sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ su-smita-śrī-mukhena, vraja-pura-vanitānāṁ vardhayan kāma-devam. It's long. Lord Sri Krishna is he who is known as jana-nivāsaḥ, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as devakī-nandana or Yaśodā-nandana, the son of Devaki and Yaśodā. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful, smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vṛndāvana. May he be glorious and happy. So, Shukadeva Goswami, today's obviously Janmashtami, Krishna appeared today. We all know that. He appeared at midnight. At midnight he appeared. And this verse is spoken... Well, okay, before I get to that, so usually what's spoken on Janmashtami Day is people quote from yada-yada dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Many people lecture on this. It's quite common. Srila Prabhupada lecture practically every year on this verse. And if they don't lecture on it, people quote it at least, because it gives the principal reasons for Krishna's coming to this world and what he does. So what are the reasons he comes, why? There's so many reasons. I spoke previously, either last year or some years ago, I don't know, giving many different reasons why Krishna appears. They're summarized here. When dharma deteriorates, he reestablishes it, and also he protects it, etc. He comes for to protect his devotees also means to give them pleasure and to kill the demons. We've all heard this probably hundreds of times. So, of course, we can go on hearing it hundreds of times, but I wanted to address a different question. So he comes to appear. Having appeared, kimakurvata, what does he do once he comes to appear? Of course, you could take the same verses. What does he do when he appears? This is the same reason why he comes. When he comes, he reestablishes religion. He protects the devotees and he kills the demons, basically. And that's what this verse says. Shukadeva Goswami, he says, he gives more detail. The whole 10th canto is just a description of what Krishna does when he actually, before he comes, why he comes, and then the majority of it is what he does when he comes. And then, of course, our acharyas also elaborate upon that. So this verse, comes at the end. Shukadeva Goswami speaks this verse at the end, thinking his listeners may have been tired, and they have understood it. They've become happy by hearing Krishna's pastimes. So he summarizes everything that he's spoken. In the previous purport, it's said here by disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they make a good point, quoting from the acharyas, from the beginning to the end, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam has been exclusively dedicated to reciting the pastimes of Lord Krishna, Vṛndāvana, Mathura, and Dwarka. So, good point here. It's the same thing. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out, this verse sums up the 10th canto by mentioning 5 different qualities of Lord Krishna. This is a different verse. This is the following verse, same thing. It sums up the entirety of the 10th canto, which describes Krishna Vṛndāvana, Krishna Mathura, Krishna and Dwarka. So this verse covers pretty much everything. It sums up the whole 10th canto in a nutshell form. So, I'll just explain it a little bit, speaking from how Srila Prabhupada is explaining here in his Krishna book, also in the word for word. The word for which Srila Prabhupada gave. First, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Jayati, all glory to Lord Krishna. Or may he be, he is victorious. He is victorious. Srila Prabhupada explains that we're using the word is. He is victorious, but Shukadeva Goswami, he's speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. And from the beginning, Shukadeva Goswami has already said, he's explained to Maharaj Parikshit, Krishna has left to his abode along with his dham, and knowledge, jnana, has also gone with him. So Krishna is gone, but he's saying, all glory to Krishna, or may he be victorious. So he's using the present tense here, not the past, specifically because Krishna, he's always present in the world. He's eternally present in the world. Krishna had left, and he had wrapped up his pastimes. Shukadeva Goswami, specifically here, he's speaking this to impart the understanding that Krishna's pastimes may have ended, the 10th canto has ended in one sense, but it's going on eternally. Krishna's pastimes are eternal. So even with his disappearance, he doesn't actually really leave. It's still going on eternally. Nitya Lila, his pastimes are ever going on. And of course, Krishna himself, he appears, but he doesn't appear. He disappears, but he doesn't disappear. He came and he left, but he was always here on earth, and he never actually left. He himself makes that point, Krishna is Svadhama Bhagate Dharma Jnana-nivāsaḥ Kalau Nashta Durshamesha Paranarko Dinoditaha. Krishna left to his own abode. That's explained. Still, in the same chapter, he says, Idam Bhagavata Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam. But this Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. So Krishna left. At the same time, Krishna didn't leave. Krishna is also here, and maybe not the exact self-same form, but basically it's the self-same form because Krishna is absolute. So Krishna leaves, but he doesn't leave. Krishna comes, but he doesn't come. Krishna appeared within this world, but he was already present in this world in many different ways. You can analyze that from many different angles of vision, through his representatives, through Shastra, through his name, etc. like that. But nevertheless, Krishna personally came in his form as summoned by Lord Brahma. So, Srila Prabhupada explains here that Krishna is all-pervading. Anyway, we'll get to that. So, Krishna is always present. Another way of understanding it is he's eternally present. He's also ever manifesting. Navayovanam, eternally new. It's not that, he becomes newer and newer and newer. Krishna is eternally present, but he's not stereotyped, and he doesn't become, in the material sense, something gets old. Krishna doesn't become old. He becomes ever new. And he reveals more and more aspects of his personality, of his name, lila, personalities, form, etc. like that. So he's ever manifesting. In the 9th canto, he's described as Nityotsavam. He's Krishna, seeing Krishna specifically is described there, is like an eternal festival. Festival, by almost like definition, a festival is a festival because there's things that are not a festival. A festival is a special occasion. But if the whole thing is a special occasion, it's quite difficult to conceive of it, and it's just the norm. But for Krishna, seeing Krishna, interacting with Krishna is eternally a festival. Krishna consciousness is eternally a festival. And Krishna ever manifests in our tongues, in our mouths. On our tongues as the name, and our mouths as prasad, in our ears as his name, again, as the Shastra, by his instructions, before our eyes as the deity form, etc. So Krishna is manifested in so many different ways. Krishna also exists separately too. So Krishna is the reservoir of all qualities, which also means contradictory qualities. It said, Kunti Maharani, she praised Janma Karma Cha Vishvatman Ajasya Karturatmanaha Tiryan Rishu Yarusu Tat Adyanta Vidambanam, which she says that you, my dear Lord, Janma Karma Cha Vishvatman, Aja, you have a birth, but you're unborn. You have no birth because you're the unborn among living entities. She says, Adyanta Vidambanam. But Krishna, he himself in the Gita, he contradicts this. He says, Janma Karma Cha Vishvatman, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, Evam Yo Veti Tatvataha. That I have a birth, not only, but that birth and activities, that karma, is divyam. And one who knows this attains liberation. So, if you look at the two verses side by side, actually they directly contradict one another. Kunti Maharani is saying that Krishna has no birth. He's unborn. Krishna says he has a birth. How do you understand? It's in the verse Kunti explains herself. She says, Atyanta vidambanam. Atyanta means like extremely. We have this verse, Atyanta dulabha preme koribari dan. Lord Chaitanya gave extremely rare prema, love of God. Vidambanam means like bewildering. So Krishna is Atyanta vidambanam. He's extremely bewildering, or actually vidambanam sometimes is translated as deceptive. He's very deceptive. So Krishna is very deceptive. It looks like he has a birth, but he doesn't have a birth. It looks like he disappears, but he doesn't disappear. It looks like he appears, but he was always there. So all these contradictory things are ever present in Krishna. So going on to this verse, explaining this a little bit. So this is, this is what's meant by jayati. He's using the present tense. I'm explaining that. So he says, he gives a name, jana-nivāsaḥ, jana-nivās. It's a common name of Krishna. Many people know his name. The name of Vishnu, too. Mahavishnu is also described as jana-nivās because he's the shelter of all living entities. Specifically, is more applicable to Krishna because Krishna is the shelter of not only all the living entities, even of all the incarnations Krishna is the shelter of. Jana-nivās, it can mean different things. It can mean he's the shelter of all living entities. That's been explained. It can also mean one who resides in everybody's heart. Jana means living entities. Nivāsa means he residing within. So Krishna is he who resides within everybody's heart. Srila Prabhupada explains that here in his purport. He quotes this Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesh Arjuna tishtati. The Lord, Supreme Lord, is situated within the hearts of all living entities. Nevertheless, he also comes personally. So another meaning of jana-nivās, also applicable to Krishna. Nivās can also mean living among. He who lives among jana, or human beings. Jana means manushu, men, basically human society. It means human society. So Krishna comes, he descends, and he lives among human society. Not only does he live within the heart of every man, not just men, every single living entity, he also comes within human society, incarnates among them, and lives among them in society, displaying his pastimes in vraja, mathura, dvarka, etc. like that. So he lives among, he's the incarnation among men. That's what is meant by jana-nivāso. Then devakī-janma-vādaḥ. One who is known, it's quite obvious, it's easy Sanskrit here actually, the whole verse actually kind of is. It's understandable. He who is born, who is known as the son of Devaki. Srila Prabhupada explains in his word for word here that actually nobody can become known as, nobody is the father of God. Krishna has no father, he has no mother. You can only become known as the father of Krishna. It's not that you factually become the father of Krishna, because Krishna is the father of everyone. What is that? Pitaham, that's one. Yeah, how does that go? Pitaham, Jagatu Mata Dhata Pitamaha. He's the father and mother. He's the father and mother of all living entities. So nobody can become his father and mother, but people, the jivas they can be known as the father and mother. Therefore, the word vada is used. Vada means like theory, usually philosophical theory. Oh, no, not theory. Philosophical theory like that. Krishna also says vada, vṛja-pura-vanitānāṁ, of natural conclusions. Vadaha, he's the natural conclusion of all arguments. So vada means like that, is explained like that. So Krishna is known as the son of Devaki. He's also known as Yaśodā Nandana. Devaki Nandana, Yaśodā Nandana, he's known as both. There's one verse, Kunti also prays Krishnaya Vasudevaya, devakī-janma-vāda cha. He's the son of Devaki. Devaki is Kunti Maharani is offering her obeisances unto the son of Devaki. Cha Nanda Gopa-kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. She's also offering her obeisances unto the son of who? Nanda Mahārāja. Govindaya Namo Namah. So Krishna is the son of Devaki. He's also the son of Vasudeva. What happened to Yaśodā? Krishnaya Vasudevaya devakī-janma-vāda cha. Devaki is mentioned. Vasudeva is mentioned with Devaki. Even Nanda Mahārāja is mentioned in this verse. I'll just pull it up. 1:18, 21. It's a famous. Sometimes it does this. Sometimes people recite this verse before class. It's famous among Radhana Swami followers. So you have Vasudeva, Devaki, and you have Nanda. What happened to Yaśodā? Why is Yaśodā not mentioned here? It seems naturally Yaśodā would be mentioned in this verse, especially because Vasudeva and Devaki are both mentioned together. So Yaśodā, first, before getting on to that, Nanda Gopa-kumaraya. So Krishna is the son of Devaki, undoubtedly, but Nanda is more glorious, or he's more fortunate, you could say, than Vasudeva or Devaki. Why? Because Nanda Gopa-kumaraya, he was able to see Krishna's pastimes as a child. So he's infinitely more fortunate. Whereas Vasudeva and Devaki, of course, they're infinitely fortunate already because they had Krishna, God, as their son. But nonetheless, they weren't able to see his childhood pastimes. They admitted this when Vasudeva, Devaki, Yaśodā, and Nanda Mahārāja met at Kurukshetra. They admitted this. So what happened to Devaki? What happened to Yaśodā? Where is Yaśodā? Yaśodā, she has a verse to herself. Yaśodā is even more fortunate than Nanda Mahārāja, as explained. Why? Is also a famous verse. Gopi adate tvarikrita gasidama tavadyate dashashu kalinanjana sambramaksham vaktram ninya bhaya-bhavanaya stitasya samam vimoheti bhirapi yad bhiveti. This is the first verse in the Bhagavatam that talks about Krishna's pastimes at Vṛndāvana. And who's mentioned there? Yaśodā. My dear Krishna, Yaśodā took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid. Though fear personified is afraid of you, this sight is bewildering to me. So Yaśodā is more fortunate than even Nanda Mahārāja, because Krishna, who is feared by fear personified, ran in fear out of love of Mother Yaśodā. We don't hear of such descriptions of Nanda Mahārāja, for example. We hear Krishna out of reverence and paternal relationship, carrying Nanda Mahārāja's shoes upon his head and serving his father in that way. But Krishna ran out of fear of Mother Yaśodā, out of love. Yaśodā, she has a verse unto herself here, so she's even more fortunate than Nanda Mahārāja himself. So in regards to the verse I'm quoting today, we're lecturing on today, I've lost it. Hang on, sorry. So we have this word devakī-janma-vādaḥ. So where's Yaśodā here? What happened to Yaśodā? Where's Yaśodā coming from this? Because it clearly said Devakī. Well, another name for Yaśodā is Devakī, as explained. As explained in the Bhagavatam, in the second canto, Shukadeva Goswami, my friends, this. Also elsewhere, our acharyas quote that, if I have it, and in the Puranas, it's stated, Dve-namni Nanda Mahārāja Yaśodā devakī-cha. Another name, basically, for Yaśodā is Yaśodā has two names, Yaśodā, also Devakī. So it's very clearly explained. Elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, devakyam-Yaśodāyam, another name for Yaśodā. Yaśodā is also known as Devakī. So you can take it in two senses here. This verse is describing many different aspects. It's describing Vraja-lila, Mathura-lila, also Dwarka-lila. So you can take it in one sense, how Krishna is being born from. Mathura is also described here, because Krishna was born in Mathura. Then also is described, Vraja-lila is also being described here. Then, so this is what's meant by devakī-janma-vāda. Going on, we have this pair here. Yadu-vara-pariṣat seems pretty straightforward. Served by the members of the Yadu dynasty. So Krishna is the chief of the Yadu dynasty. This is described elsewhere by Shukadeva. Namo namaste stavurushabhaya sattvatam. That he offers his obeisances unto he who is Rishabha, the chief of the Yadu dynasty. Here it's meant Vara, the best. Yadu-vara-pariṣat. Krishna is associated with the best of the Yadus. His intimate associates are the best of the Yadus. The Yadu dynasty is very large, of course. This can mean multiple things. Those Yadus who were fortunate enough to get Krishna's association in Mathura. Yadus are everywhere. It can mean different things. Yadus, this can refer to those cowherd boys in Vṛndāvana, as explained here. The cowherd boys in Vṛndāvana who were constant associates of the Lord. Can also mean the Yadus of Mathura, Dwarka, who were Kshatriyas. So two things are being referred to here. And then elsewhere, Shukadeva Goswami, the same verse I was quoting, we learned some time ago. Namo namaste stavurushabhaya sattvatam vidurakashtaya muhuka yoginam nirasta samyati shayina radasa swadhamani brahmani ramsati namaha. So in Krishna's own swadhama, what does he do? He enjoys himself, but he also enjoys with his own associates. So Krishna enjoys in Vṛndāvana, he enjoys in Mathura, he enjoys in Dwarka, not only himself, but he enjoys with the Yadu dynasty, with his cowherd friends, with the descendants of the Yadu dynasty, etc., like that. So that's what's been by here. Then, going on, interesting description here, svair dorbhiḥ. Well, it's a pair, svair dorbhiḥ asyann adharmam. By his own arms, Krishna destroys adharmam. Literally, you could take it as impiety, irreligiousness also can mean those demons or those who perpetuate adharma, like that. So, by his own arms, Krishna destroys them. How did Krishna destroy? So, Krishna destroys demons. That's what's basically being explained. Vinashaya chaduskritam. He destroys the demons. How does he destroy the demons? By his own arms. Just like he twisted Bakasura's beak, for example, and destroyed him. He killed the kāma-devam by shoving his arm, you see a picture over there, shoving his arm into the kāma-devam's mouth, suffocating him, and then he slammed him on the floor. So many other different things. Not only just by his arms too, he went to Aghasura, he entered into him, suffocated him by expanding him, etc., like that. Trinavarta, he increased his weight, and then the demon fell to the earth and became killed like that. Putana, he killed her by sucking, not by his arms necessarily, by sucking by his mouth, by his, as is mentioned here, sthira-cara-vṛjina. But for his devotees, they're charmed by his sthira-mukha, but for the demons, it's a source of death for them. Just like the example of a cat or a lion carries her cub, that same mouth, it can be a source of death, or it can be a source of pleasure. So the smile of Krishna, the mouth of Krishna can be a source of pleasure for the devotees. That same mouth is the source of death for Putana. But the wonderful thing is that, whereas for the lion or the tigress, lioness, however you want to explain, she just, for that mouth, just rips open her prey, or enemies like that. Krishna, he also rips open demons with his mouth, or is a source of death, you could explain it like that. But it's also a source of benediction for them because they get liberation by Krishna having killed them, by his own arms, as explained here. So he kills by his arms. It can also mean not only just his arms Krishna kills, his arms also means his devotees, his extensions. As explained here, we have by his devotees like Arjuna, who are just like his arms. So we hear, for example, you could take this in many different ways. You hear the kshatriyas are like the arms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna specifically is a kshatriya, so it's even more applicable to him in two senses. One, he's a devotee. Two, he's a kshatriya. So, who was killed by Krishna? So we have the demons personally that Krishna killed. He killed many demons, both in Vṛndāvana, we have stories of. Also outside of Vṛndāvana, Krishna also killed demons. Who did his devotees kill? By the arms of his devotees, who was killed? Arjuna, who did he kill? Jayadratha, Karna, Vrishasena, were all killed by Arjuna. Then also you have Duryodhana, Jarasandha, Dushasana, they were all killed by Bhima, etc. like that. So Krishna acts through his devotees. We often hear this. How does he? Often we think of this, that Krishna, he gives us instructions through the devotees. He also kills people through his devotees. That's also true. Krishna said to Arjuna, just become my instrument. That means Arjuna was acting as Krishna's instrument to kill people, to kill the demons. So that's explained here. By his influence, etc. like that. Then going on, next, sthira-cara-vṛjina-ghnaḥ. Krishna is, here, the destroyer of the ill fortune of all living entities, moving and non-moving. So sthira, we read in the prophet, sthira means fixed, you don't move, means like a plant, like these plants don't go anywhere, they just sit there in the trees outside. They sit there, they don't move, they're immobile. Chara, moving living entities, they can walk, they can move, they can fly, things like that. Specifically, so Krishna, he destroys all the ill fortune of these living entities, moving and non-moving. Another thing when he mentioned moving and non-moving entities, there's only two things, moving and non-moving. There's no in-between generally. You either move or you don't move. So Krishna is the well-wisher and benefactor of everybody because he destroys the inauspiciousness of everybody. That's one explanation. Another explanation, he destroyed, having come to the world, he liberated or took back to his abode those trees, creepers, monkeys, specifically cows. Srila Prabhupada is making the point here. This chara specifically refers to cows, of Vṛndāvana, also of Mathura, etc. like that. Those living and non-moving living entities who saw him in Vṛndāvana, who saw him in Mathura, who saw him even in Dvarka, they were benefited from that. Elsewhere, I think Bhishma Dev, he explains that all the warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, just by seeing Krishna and leaving their body in Krishna's presence, they attained liberation by that. They were elevated by that, or at least they attained the heavenly planets. So that explanation is there. Then, he elevated those living entities to his own times, as explained here, those that saw him. Another explanation is that, many different ways, he is the benefactor of all living entities in general, because he destroys unauspiciousness. Even those who didn't necessarily see him, just like for us who have come to Krishna consciousness, Krishna is our benefactor. He's destroying all of our misfortune. So, even for those who didn't have the fortune to see Krishna personally when he advented, came to this world, Krishna, nevertheless, still is merciful toward those living entities who didn't get his darshan and still destroys their inauspiciousness in their lives. Another explanation of this that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur he gives is that taking in the same way, those living entities in Vṛndāvana, those devotees in Vṛndāvana, Mathura, etc. like that, he destroyed their inauspiciousness. Vṛja-pura-vanitānāṁ, what does that mean? Well, Vrajina, generally he explains as samsara dukkha, that miseries of samsara, Krishna destroys the miseries of material existence. But where are the miseries of material existence for the devotees who are already residing in? For Nanda Mahārāja, for example, for Sridhama, for Madhumangal, all of Krishna's associates. So what does it mean that Krishna destroyed their misfortune? Because there is no misfortune for them. He explains that Krishna came to relieve their separation. He relieves the misery of separation from him by going to Vraja, by going to Mathura, by going to Dwarka, and he relieves the separation of the devotees there. In this way, he kills everything inauspicious. How does he do so? We could take it two ways. Here, Srila Prabhupada translates, and the BBT commentators, they translate, su-smita-śrī-mukhena. They apply this to the next, I guess you could say, clause, or whatever you would call it. But you could also take it, and that by Krishna's beautiful smile, he relieves the separation of the residents of Dwarka, of the residents of Vṛndāvana, of his devotees. Even the conditioned living entities, by Krishna's smiling, we hear, just by, it annihilates everything inauspicious. So by his beautiful smile, he enacts this. Also by different means, of course, not just by that, by his devotees, so many different things. Then, the final stanza we have here, which is quite nice, actually. vraja-pura-vanitānāṁ vardhayan kāma-devam. Here is translated as quite obviously, his blissful smile always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vṛndāvana. May he be all glorious and happy. So, yeah, by his smile, is obvious, easy to understand, by his Śrī-mukhena, he enlivens the gopis of Vṛndāvana. Bhishmadev, he said the same thing. By his eyes, Bhishmadev explains in his prayers. So he enlivens the gopis of Vṛndāvana. Another way of taking this, if you look at the Sanskrit, vraja-pura-vanitānāṁ. Vrajapur means the city of Vṛndāvana, but Vṛndāvana is not really a city. You don't really hear Vraja-pura being described so much. So it can mean Vraja, can also mean Pura, means Mathura. Mathura is considered a city. Pura means city. Also, Dwarka is also referred to as a city. So both in Vṛndāvana and Vanitānām means like women. So the women of Vrajamandal and also the women of Dwarka, Krishna enlivened both of them. And who are the women? Well, you see descriptions in Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 10th canto, Krishna entering into Mathura. There's descriptions there of the emotions of the women of Dwarka, the queens of Dwarka, showering flowers upon Krishna from the rooftop. Same thing happened in Mathura when Krishna was entering in Mathura. The women were also worshiping Krishna that way. So he enlivened both the women in both ways by his beautiful smile. He enchanted both of them. Specifically here, vardhayan kāma-devam. He not only enlivened them, he increased their lusty desires. So one such prominent thing is notable that in summarizing everything that Krishna did, Shukadeva Goswami specifically mentions that Krishna's loving dealings with the gopis. He came specifically to enjoy loving pastimes with the gopis. Also the queens of Vṛndāvana, Dwarka, Mathura, etc. like that. But specifically the gopis are singled out here. And it said he increased their lusty desires by his smile. This is obvious to understand. You read 10th canto, you see the description of a Rasa Lila there, how, and just different works as well, how Krishna increases the lusty desires of the gopis. Of course, it's not material lust, we understand like this. It's transcendental lust, the pure loving sentiments of the gopis for Krishna. Krishna came, he advented to increase the gopis' love for him. So he does so by his smile. And then interestingly, here, kāma-devam. Kāma-dev is quite obvious to understand. It's interesting. It can mean many different things here. Devam can also mean bright, like that. Or it's, bright, it can also mean spiritual. So it can refer to the spiritual desires of the gopis, or the spiritual desires of the queen, of the Krishna's queens, or the women of Mathura. It can also mean kāma-dev himself, in the sense that, like you see in Bhagavatam, it's described that if one is afflicted by kāma-dev, for example, it means that your lust increases, basically. But it's not the mundane kāma-dev here. Well, one thing is that Krishna himself is the transcendental Cupid. He is referred to as kāma-dev in different mantras. So that's one such explanation. Krishna is kāma-dev himself. And then there's also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that this kāma-dev also could refer to Krishna, could also refer to the transcendental kāma-dev, and refers to transcendental spiritual desires arising within the heart of the gopis, etc., like that. So that spiritual personality which arises from Krishna's internal energy, not external energy, so transcendental kāma-dev, that's referred to here. So by Krishna's beautiful smile, he enlivens the gopis like this. He enlivens the queens of Vṛndāvana like this. By Krishna's, of course, it's not just limited to that. Krishna enlivens the whole world by his smile. So here he says, here we have Srila Prabhupada giving the, may he be all glorious and happy. In this way, so where we've gone, I've narrated different things. We start from jayati. May Krishna be victorious. How is Krishna being victorious? By these pastimes. He comes, he enacts these pastimes. Nitya Lila, as I'm saying. What is this Nitya Lila? Is this, in summation. He comes, he enjoys with his the review. He lives among people in general. He incarnates among men as jana-nivāsaḥ. He appears as the son of Devaki, as the son of Mother Yaśodā, also Vasudeva and Nanda Mahārāja as well. And he gives pleasure to them by also the whole Vṛndāvana community. He lives among both Vṛndāvana community and also his devotees at Dwarka, the Yadu dynasty. He kills the demons by his own arms and by in so many different ways and also many other different ways, and also by manifesting as his devotees through his devotees. He benedicts all living entities. How? By destroying everything inauspicious for them, which means the miseries of samsara, the miseries of material existence. And he also benedicts his devotees by relieving their separation from him by his smile. And also by his smile, he increases the lusty desires of his women devotees in Vraja, in Mathura, in Dwarka, etc. like that. And he increases their love for him. In this way, he's victorious. He enacted these pastimes. He's still enacting these pastimes, and he will continue to enact these pastimes. So Krishna appeared today. Why? To do these things. And he continues to do these things. So that's all I have in summation. This is a nutshell. Shukadeva Goswami is giving everything in a nutshell. So I'm giving everything also in a nutshell. I've just been explaining from the purport and also previous commentaries that are elaborated here. So I'll stop here and take any comments, questions, etc. like that people have now.
Sadhu, sadhu. So much nectar. I especially liked how you broke up vraja-pura, referring to that. It's both Mathura and it could refer to Vṛndāvana, but not just Vṛndāvana, but it can also refer to Mathura or Dwaraka or both. And yeah, I just very much feel enlivened after the explanation of this verse.
Yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he specifically, as I pointed out he explains that all these verses near the end of the 10th canto, there's a set of verses actually, I just selected like one, but he explains how all these verses, you can take it from many different angles, and as he explains all these words in this way, and Srila Prabhupada follows the same thing in Krishna book. It's very interesting, the purport that we read, it's directly from Krishna book, but you see Krishna, Srila Prabhupada basically just like took directly Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, directly put it in Krishna book, and also added his own realizations on top of that. That's quite amazing. You're reading Krishna book of it. You're seeing, you're getting Srila Prabhupada's realizations, also the previous Acharya's realizations. But yeah, this whole verse, you can take this verse in the sense of Vraja, you can take it in the sense of Mathura, you can take it in the sense of Dwarka, you can take it in any sense you so wish to view it from, because all the words are equally, you could take it as devakis and take it as the sense of Mathura Puri, etc. like that, or you could take it in the sense of Yaśodā, the cowherd boys and Vṛndāvana, etc. like that. So yeah, it's quite amazing. You can analyze it from so many different ways. He does the previous verse in the exact same way, describing the qualities of Krishna. I didn't touch on that, but yeah, it's quite amazing how he was able to do that. So,
and after glorifying, and it it also seems that this glorifies all the different rasas. You have Vatsalya,
that's
you
true.
have Sakhya.
I didn't think of that. That's a very good point. Yeah.
And you have Dasya, and then in the end, there's the best is Madhurya.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Cherry on the top, so it's like that was quite. it doesn't glorify the first rasa, Shanta.
Shanta, in one
could
sense,
say
you could
actually
say,
maybe it does.
If you take the sthira, which is generally,
Yeah.
if they're actually in Shanta, at least
You could
as
say that,
explained in
that's
Nectar
right.
Devotion, actually is Shanta mixed with dasya still, because you see like in the 10th canto, the trees are bowing down and offering the fruits to Krishna and Balaram. But yeah, even then, there's some tinge of that.
Yeah.
Sakya of friendship. The yadu-vara-pariṣat. It can refer to both, I mean, the cowherd boys and also devotees, the Yadu dynasty, which were also, they were friends with Krishna on a different level. There's different friendship for the cowherd boys, but Arjuna was a friend in reverence. The cowherd boys had just pure friendship, but this yadu-vara-pariṣat, it can refer to the Yadu dynasty outside of Vṛndāvana, and also the cowherd boys within the Vṛndāvana. Anything else? Comments, questions? Yes.
And when you mentioned the arms, was it dorbhir?
Yeah, dorbhir. Svair dorbhir, by his arms.
So then that can, Prabhupada says that can refer to devotees like Arjuna.
Yeah, both his own arms and also...
So then the arms, that's Sakya as well.
Yeah.
And Krishna's cowherd boyfriends are also in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Avadu?
Yeah, Prabhu, thank you for explaining this
On this
verse.
auspicious Krishna Janmashtami, you both returned. Enjoy. Appeared, manifested.
It's just a quick question. I heard it said that it's actually auspicious to recite this verse upon awakening. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, specifically,
This verse?
Brahmanas in general. Pujaris especially do, so this is one of the verses. This was quoted by Lord Chaitanya too, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's quite a famous verse. But yeah, this is one of the verses they recite in the morning. Oh, really, huh? I see. I've never heard him recite it. Before Bhagavatam class? I see.
He doesn't do it now. He used to do it a lot.
Uh-huh.
That's how I get memorized it. When I was secondary, we would recite this every single class.
Uh-huh. Interesting. It's the summation of the 10th canto, basically, more or less. All the 10th canto is described here. So, yeah. It's one of those verses. There are many different verses like there's one in the Bhumi Devik, so there's one among them, specifically invoking remembrance of Krishna. Anything else? No? From the women, Matajis? Yes.
You were making this point earlier in class about Mother Yaśodā and how she's, if I'm understanding correctly, she's glorified because fear personified fears Krishna, but Krishna fears Mother Yaśodā.
Yeah, and specifically you can see Krishna's love, the intent, the level of love Krishna, for example, elevation of mellows, I guess you could say, like in the sense that the Mother Yaśodā is more fortunate, you could say, than Arjuna, for example, that's widely known, because of the more intimate relationship that's shared there, and because Krishna is allowing a level of, there's a more elevated mellow, more or less. So with Nanda Mahārāja, we don't specifically hear, so there may be some things there, but we don't hear of him running out of fear of Nanda Mahārāja. We don't hear of Krishna adopting such a position like that. And he adopts that position out of love, only out of love. So, yeah, basically. It's not just running out of fear, but also in what comes along with that, in other words, is that intense love, that Krishna does that because he has such an affection for her. So, yeah. So you're saying, sorry, I just wanted to...
I was just wondering if you could expound upon it, so that was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I guess I have a little bit. I mean, it's natural. Why does he do that? Why does he seem to favor Nanda more than Yaśodā? Why is Yaśodā glorified more than, not necessarily glorified, but considered more fortunate? The Acharyas explain that like that. Even in the material world, you see that. Between the son, or between the child and the parents, who has a stronger connection, who has a more intimate relationship, let's say. The mother, obviously, in most cases, the mother and the offspring is a very intimate relationship from the very beginning, because the child comes from the mother's body from the very beginning of his life. So even in the material world, it's like that. You see the same thing as coming from the spiritual world. That's why it's like that, actually. It's the same thing with Krishna. There's an intimate connection there. And then you see, there's of course, Nanda Mahārāja is also offering service to Krishna. We hear more extensive, at least in the Bhagavatam, we hear more extensive descriptions of Yaśodā, isn't it? We hear of Yaśodā, for example. The whole Damodar Leela is there. For instance, there are descriptions of Nanda Mahārāja that he's not neglected or anything like that. But we hear, for example, Yaśodā churning milk for Krishna, etc., like that. So many pastimes are there and elaborated upon. And yeah, what it boils down to ultimately is that just a little more elevated, little more intimate connection between Krishna and Yaśodā ultimately. So, is that clear? Does that make sense? Yeah. So, anything else? No? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Krishna Janmashtami ki jai.